Good afternoon from Burjumi, Georgia. Good morning, good evening, good night, wherever you are. We're going to talk about dealing with your past traumas, your past storyline of your character, because you are a character. This is a movie, we're inside a movie of some sorts, a love simulator, really. Uh, and you're a character. You have a character. You're playing a particular character. You come into this dimension and you take birth and you say, that's the character I'm going to play the game with this time around. And the whole concept of reincarnation is essentially you choosing a different character each time you play the game, much like picking up FIFA, for example. It's a soccer game, right? And then you'll choose one team. You'll choose Barcelona, and then you'll choose Real Madrid, and then you'll choose Liverpool. Or like a boxing game, for example, you'll choose Tyson, you'll choose Ali, each different round. And essentially, that's what it is. So you're a character. And when we talk about past traumas, we're referring to traumatizing experiences that you have experienced in this character in the past, because part of the allure, the blessing and the curse of this game is time. Is time is perceived as past, present, and future, and it feels like it. And you come in and you play by these rules in a way. This is my past, this is my present, this is my future. I was 5 or 6 or 7 or 8 years old, and now I am 20 years old, I am 30 years old, and in 10 years I'll be 40 years old. So your past traumas are traumas, things, unpleasant experiences that happened to you at some past point in your development, in your character's plot, the development. So, there are basically 3 stages to addressing, resolving any past traumas, also known as unpleasant experiences that leave imprints, certain psychic and physical and mental and emotional imprints that make it difficult for you to evolve your consciousness. And there are 3 distinct stages. Stage 1 is you seek to understand the underlying cause of your trauma. What was the trauma? When did it happen? When did it start? Why did it happen? And how can I resolve it? And that's the stage most people are stuck at. And I can even, speculate with a certain degree of accuracy that maybe 50% of the people watching this video are having difficult times still in that first stage. Essentially, the resolution of the trauma, the liberation of the negative experience, no longer identifying with it. The second stage is, now we've understood it and we've resolved it. The second stage is to play with it. So you're able to address it, you're able to talk about it, you're able to say, yeah, that's what happened to me. I got sexually abused, or I got physically abused, but no longer emotionally identifying with it. And it even shows in your demeanor. Like, you can talk about it and you're just like, you're not really emotional, you're not crying, you're just like stating it as a matter of fact, like, oh yeah, that's what happened. And you may even develop a certain sense of humor about it, right? And so that's the second stage. You play with it like a movie. And somebody may ask you, well, what happened to you as a child? You're not going to run away from it or say, well, I don't want to remember it, or blah, blah, blah. It's like, like a movie. You know, I just rewatched Lord of the Rings, by the way, all three. You're like rewatching the movie. You're just like, yeah, that's what happened. You playing with it. So the past becomes a playful instrument. It becomes something you just play with, like you play with a movie. Oh, let's watch that movie. All right. Well, you want to know what happened to me in the past? All right. Well, here it is, right? And then that stage is nice, also because you've already resolved the trauma, and in fact, because you resolved it, you're much more comfortable playing with it, and you've really got nothing to hide. People who haven't resolved their traumas yet, they're still in stage one. They don't often want to talk about their past because it's painful. But once you go to second stage, the playful stage, you'll tell your past storyline just about anybody, because it's like, oh yeah, here we go, let's watch a movie. You're not really identified with it any longer. And then the third stage, and very, very few of us get there. I certainly haven't yet. Is a complete disregard for the past altogether. It's you're here, you don't really care. And I can use an example by one of my most beloved teachers, Ram Dass, and he's describing his experience. He went to India to find a guru, and eventually he did. And he describes this experience where he goes to India and he meets not a guru, he calls him Guru Brother. I think his name is, I can't remember. I think they called him Krishna Das, maybe. Anyway, it's irrelevant. And upon meeting this man, who ends up being his Guru Brother, you know, one of his people that are studying under his guru that he eventually found. So, you know, Ram Dass is coming from America and he's got the Western mind and everything. And so he starts to talk to this man, and he's trying to tell him, you know, like, I was a Harvard professor. You know, he's talking about his past. And so this his Guru Brother would look at him and say, yeah, something along the lines of, yeah, I don't care. Don't think about the past. Don't think about the future. Just be here now. And he kept telling him that. Every time Ram Dass tried to tell him something about what, you know, I was a Harvard professor, or I did this, or I did that, or man, you should have, you know, trying to tell him about like a trip, like an LSD trip, because, you know, Ram Dass was big on psychedelics before he went to India. And in fact, he went to India to find out how to get to those states of consciousness without using LSD. That was actually the main reason he went to India. So at any time he'd open his mouth to tell something to his Guru Brother, who was at the time he met him sort of like his guide, his teacher, his Guru Brother would look at him and say, don't think about the past, don't think about the future, just be here now. He wasn't interested in anything to do with Ram Dass's past. Just be here now. And that's the third stage. And that stage, you know, it takes a lot of practice, a lot of meditation, and so it's just a state of being like that, like nothing in the past matters, you know. All right, so that happened to you, cool story. You know that meme, cool story, bro, right? It's like, cool story, bro. Right? So now what? Now we're here. But you can't cheat the game. You can't get to that level unless you've already leveled up, unless you've already unlocked and totally finished with the first two stages of addressing past the past traumas, resolving, understanding. That's stage one. Playing with it, that's stage two. And then stage three is like disregarding. It's just a disregard for the past. It no longer matters, really. Because ultimately it really doesn't matter. And a lot of people who experiment with the psychedelics, psilocybin mushrooms and DMT, etc., for healing purposes, and they have an intention behind it, and they do proper preparation. They report feeling rebirth shortly after, like total rebirth. I remember a friend of mine was trying to get over an ex-girlfriend, and so he took it, and it did something to him where he's just like, I'm healed. Why? Because he no longer, at least for the duration of the trip, but the thing is, these effects carry on, and uh, no longer identified with his past. Because it's a past story. Well, why did she dump me? Am I not good enough? What happened? Could I have done something better? Should I have said this? It's all identification with the past. But once you're brought into the immediate experience of the present moment, and awareness is here, it's not identified with any particular story. Oh, I am here. I am standing on the balcony. I'm looking at green trees, and so it's the awareness is here. It's no longer really identified with any past story. Then you're able to experience the bliss of the moment that is available to you all the time, every single moment. And so, my friend, he completely got over it after. And it carried on, right after the trip. That's it. It just brought it, like, I'm here. I'm here. Whoa, I'm awareness. I'm pure aware. I'm here. It's not identified with the past. So to be abiding in that state of awareness, in that state of consciousness, takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of mindfulness. It takes a lot of meditation. It takes a lot of reflection and contemplation and understanding that you're not the past story. That it is just something that happens. You're pure awareness right here, right now. Yes. That pure awareness was molested or raped or abused, but that awareness is no longer being that. That awareness is here now. Because so as long as you're identified with that past story, you're living it right now. Like, think about it right now. I'm gonna close my eyes and I'm gonna remember an experience where I was skydiving and I just jumped off the plane. I am now jumping off a plane because depends. If my awareness is really focused on that experience of jumping off a plane, then I'm jumping off a plane right now, in the moment. When you try to visualize something, if you really lay down and really do some meditation and calm down your breath and then start to visualize, you're in that experience. I'm no longer laying on my bed. I'm actually whatever it is I'm visualizing, because my awareness is now focused on that experience. So I'm no longer laying on the bed. In fact, I forget that I'm laying on the bed, that I'm here. Because where is my awareness now? It's in that vision that I am. You experience it, you feel it too. And so in the same way, if you're identified with the past experience, the past story, that's your awareness. And so that's where your awareness is. So you're actually living it right in the present moment, instead of being in the present moment. And you have to go through all these 3 stages before you can get to that. You can't fool it. You can't make believe. Oh, well, I guess I don't really need to go in the past, right? No, you do actually. You want to resolve these traumas. You want to understand them. You want to resolve them through several various means of healing modalities. Then, by the way, psychotherapy is the least effective. There are much more effective forms of healing past traumas. Screaming, bioenergetics, catharsis, holotropic breath work just gets rid of these traumas much quicker. Less, it may be more painful because you have to get these demons out, but you can get them out in a relatively short period of time without having to do psychotherapy. And once you're done with that, then you're no longer identified with that past. So then you could now tell it like a storyteller. You see, like, oh yeah, well, that's what happened to me. Oh yeah. And you play with it like a movie, and you watch the movie. You tell it to if your friends, you ask you, what happened to you. You can tell them, and you're not emotionally attached at all. You tell it just about anybody because the pain has been resolved. So you just tell it like a storyteller. And third stage becomes totally irrelevant, and you just disregard it, just like Ram Dass's guru brother would tell him, don't think about the past, don't think about the future, just be here now. So yeah, those are the 3 stages, and like I said, you have to go through all of them to get to that third stage. I'm in about stage 2 right now, yeah, at some point when I'm ready, I'll go to stage 3. I don't, you know, in my old fitness channel, I used to talk a lot more about my past stories. I'm sure some of you guys here have seen my videos since I was doing under fitness. I used to talk a lot about my past. This is what happened to me in my past. I grew up like this, blah blah. Notice in this channel, I don't talk about it much. But if somebody asks me, I'm more than happy to talk about it. More than happy. Because I'm not really, I resolved these traumas. And yeah, about stage 3, it takes a lot of work. So I'm working on that. All right. Thank you to the Patreons for your consistent and persistent support. Some of you guys are really persistent in the support. I love it. Thank you so much. Thank you to the people who donate also on PayPal, the one-time donations, the generosity that I receive. I really love you guys, and I appreciate, the continuous support. If you'd like to support, I have links down below in the description. So you could go there, $2 a month to become a Patreon. If you want to just donate on PayPal any amount, that is highly appreciated. I love you guys, and I will see you in the next video.